Yeah.
It's a cute doggy.
He is a cute little doggy. Yeah. I like my doggy. Okie dokie. Are we happy?
Mm-hmm.
We're happy. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Wholehearted Living with Bennie.
And Valerie.
Yay.
That would be me.
That's you. Okay. So this is the podcast where we normally take turns with different subject matters regarding wholehearted living. But for the last 8 weeks or so,
Ish.
we have been studying. Oh, that's not a good word, is it? What's the right word?
We've been reading.
Yeah, reading.
Reading the book, The Gifts of Imperfection. I don't know what my voice is doing right now.
Yeah, thank you. 1-900 babe. Okay, so so we're in The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown, and we spent a couple weeks on the first half of the book, or first something like that of the book, and from there we moved into the Guidepost.
Mm-hmm.
And so to refresh your memory, Valerie's going to give us a summary. No.
Well, no, I mean, honestly, if you have been following any of this, and even if you haven't, we're just going through each guidepost from this book week by week. She calls the chapters basically the guidepost, but they're short chapters. Like, in fact, the chapter we're going to talk about today, or the guidepost today, it was probably 4 pages.
Yeah.
So it's easy reading with a lot of really good information.
Yeah.
So
the key thing that we want to, so you might be wondering, well, what in the hell are the guideposts for? Like, why do they exist and stuff? And that has to do with the beginning of the book, which has to do with, largely it has to do with, if you don't know anything about Brene Brown, she deals with shame, and she talks a lot about authenticity.
yeah.
And so actually we stole the name of our podcast. We officially named our podcast from this
if you
book.
started with us in the beginning, we were living our best life, and just kind of like, I guess we're settled on that because we couldn't think of anything else. And then when I was reading the preface, I guess, of
That's like the first half
this
of the book.
yeah. She talks about wholehearted living, and I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I want to convey
Right.
to people and myself, is to live wholeheartedly.
Yeah, because
So-
not that living your best life is a bad thing, except it has this connotation that you like about success and about like having things and doing. I don't know. At least it could have that. Whereas we're not talking about that. We're talking about you yourself, regardless of your circumstances, living wholeheartedly and enjoying life, having peace, serenity, all those things.
And what I love about this book is that in every single guidepost, she talks about how she comes back, and even though she does tons of research, she's not just giving her opinion on the subject. She definitely does a lot of research and a lot of, what's the word? Interviewing and what have you of other people. And
She's
she
actually
always applies everything. She questions herself with everything,
Yes.
and then applies it to her own life to make it more of a wholehearted life for herself.
Yeah. So for any of you that are studiers of yourself, about life coaching or therapy or anything like that, there's theory and then there's research based, and she is research based.
Totally.
So theory would not necessarily be bad. It just means that it hasn't been studied and it's not proven. Whereas the things, like all these guideposts, are not her opinion. All these guideposts are based on people that she could see that were living, I'm going to use our term, wholeheartedly and an authentic life. And she realized by virtue of their lives that these were the things that they were putting in their life. And so all of us deal with shame. All of us, whether you like it or not. Okay, you can read the book though, because that's another thing. But because some people, once I say shame, it's like, oh, I don't deal with that. But
To some one level, or what's the word I'm looking for? In some way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
we deal with shame.
we deal with shame. All of us deal with it at some level. And I think all of it, that word authentic is kind of sometimes overused, and sometimes we use words so frequently that they all of a sudden become like, they're just stupid words. They just don't make any sense. But we're referring to the idea that you and I are becoming all that we are meant to be. Like like we are ourself. We are not trying to be something for someone else. And we're finding joy and happiness.
And I think a lot of that comes with maturity too, because I think, when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, I want to be like that. I want to dress like that. I want to.
Well, sadly though, there's so many friggin' people that are adults who haven't figured this out,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then what's sad is they put it on their kids.
Yep.
They end up putting it on their kids. So,
Yeah.
so she has really addressed a lot of these issues. But we did something that we normally don't do. We kind of jumped into the subject, and I didn't ask you how your week was, what's going on. So
Yeah, just real quick, I'll share a little bit. My week was great. My week was good. I had a good week. Today was a little off kilter, running around with students I work with and stuff. I have a student right now who I work with that decides to. He had a cold, so he is doing this, and I'm not exaggerating.
oh God.
And I know that was loud in your guys' ears, but he does it constantly and very loudly, and the kids in the classroom look back at him. And so I'm like, so-and-so, you cannot do that. You can't do it that loud. If you need to do this, let's go to the bathroom. Let's go outside, whatever. I kid you not. Then he looks at me and says, okay, fine. Then you want me to choke? Like really loud. So everybody in the class hears this, I'm like, no, I don't want you to choke, but we need to do this outside. It sounds ugly, but so I was dealing with this a lot during this week. And then just today, he did the very same thing, not with he did do that, but he's better about stopping himself going, I'm going to go outside. I'm like, okay, good, go. So today he was coloring a paper, and he has a little tiny owie on his pinky finger. So as he's coloring it, it's like kind of rubbing the paper at the same time, right? And he's like, I have an owie. I go, okay, we'll do this. And I made him move his finger up so it's not resting on the paper, if you will. He's like, okay, it still hurts though. Okay, fine. I guess you want me to bleed all over the paper. And it was like,
oh my God.
And so everybody looks over at us. I'm like, no, I don't want you to bleed all over the paper.
Yeah, I think I would say yes.
I know.
It'll look great.
But it's just so funny the way he does it. So I have to stop him sometimes because I can hear him go, okay, fine. Do not say another word. Like,
oh my God.
We're done with that. So today was kind of crazy because a lot of that happened. But on the bright side, aside from that, we decided to adopt another dog.
That's crazy.
So we are going to go get our doggie on Sunday, and it's a puppy. So this is going to be fun adventure.
So a couple days from now. Hey, what I am blown away by is, actually, I think it's exciting. I'm happy for you getting another dog, and but what I'm curious about is why in the world a puppy?
Well, you want me to get an adult dog?
Well, I just think that. A puppy is
a lot of work.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here, let me just explain this really quickly. I didn't want another dog. Peter didn't want another dog. We're like, let's give ourselves a little bit of a break. I'm still not even over mourning, Buttercup. And then one day Peter just said, he saw that I was still so sad. He goes, well, I'm not opposed to adopting another dog if you really want to do another dog. Well, as soon as he said that, it was like a green light. And Kylie's like looking up, foster homes or, adoption agencies, whatever you call it. And then she started sending me pictures. We tried to apply for a couple dogs. We didn't hear anything back.
Apply for a couple dogs?
Yeah, because a lot of people were putting applications in for the adoption of certain dogs.
Did you know this, Iggy? Oh, by the way, Iggy's our sound guy. Hi, Iggy. Thank you.
Wow.
Did you know you have to apply for a dog?
No.
God
you
almighty.
you have to be approved.
What?
Do you need good credit score for that?
I know. That's what I'm wondering.
No, but I filled out a couple of applications for a couple of dogs to adopt, and we never got called back. But as I learned, they had already had like 25 people applying for these particular dogs. So I told Kai, I said, you know what? I'm not going to rush out and get a dog. Whatever dog we're supposed to get is going to fall into our lap. And then she sent me this particular dog that we are actually going to get. And it's after I applied for the application, or I applied for it at my lunch hour. And as I'm driving home, like at 3:00 in the afternoon, she calls and says, can I do a FaceTime and see your home? Like, you definitely have to be approved to get a dog.
Call the cops.
I know. And so I'm like, sure, I just got home. Yes. And so I'm showing her the house, the yard, whatever. And she's like, okay, you're approved. I already went through your application. You're approved. You can meet with the dog after Tuesday, because Tuesday the dog would be 8 weeks.
You can meet with the dog after Tuesday. He's got a very busy schedule.
Yes.
He's got a manicure.
Well,
pedicure.
you have to wait for the dog to be 8 weeks to take it from mom. So last Tuesday was 8 weeks.
I know.
So
but
I
that
said,
was just funny.
I know. You can meet the dog, and she'll
He's got a Zoom conference.
she will ask you questions. No, but so all went well, and then we decided to wait for the weekend because the foster parents live a little bit away, like in Rialto or something like that. So,
you still haven't told me why you got a puppy.
because that's the dog that fell into our lap after applying for certain ones.
So I'm wondering if we're ever going to see you again.
Coco was a puppy when we got her.
That was 174 years ago.
I know, but what does that mean? It's still a puppy.
I know, but you work.
Oh. No, you know
that
what?
was not on the application, Nikki.
No, they asked, how long will your dog be alone? No, but we would put the wooden gate up, and so she would have the whole run of the dining area. We took the rug out when Buttercup was getting old.
I'm not worried about the dog. I'm worried about
me.
you guys. Yeah. Well, and worry is not even the right word. They're just a lot of work. Patty and I decided, we have our Adivino, which some of our listeners hear when he runs around, and you can hear his feet bouncing around. But we're definitely not opposed to having a dog. We're also okay with not having a dog, at least at this point. But we might be like you. But neither one of us are. He was a puppy, and
I know it's a lot of work. Don't get me wrong, because I remember Coco chewing up this and that and eating Kylie's Barbie legs. I mean, I remember it being a lot of work. But I remember...
And just chasing.
But
you're constantly chasing and constantly... I don't know if the right word's chasing. Some dog lovers right now are saying you're not supposed to chase your dog. I just mean that there's, you're monitoring all the time. When we got our dog before Adivina, we got a trainer, and the trainer was like, basically really set us through a lot of different things, and it was super helpful. And Jill was an amazing dog, but one thing that we both recognize is we're not up for. And Adivino acted like a puppy for 3 years, and that was just we were like. So when we found out we were getting a puppy, I said, I think they're getting a puppy, and she was like, really? And then we looked and we're like, oh, that's a puppy.
Well, and Buttercup was 2 when we adopted her, and it made me so sad that somebody didn't want her after 2 years. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, I don't know. And so I did think, maybe I should get a dog that somebody has already had and got, but then I'm like, no, because as a puppy, you
bond.
Yeah. And you train her the way that you want. And Buttercup was so skittish. I think that she was actually abused. And so she was very, very fearful of you for a long time. And so I feel like, you know what? I'm up for the challenge. I really am. Yeah.
Well,
it'll be a lot of work, but at the same time, and Kylie's home a lot of part of the day. Like her hours are going to be really, really, not flexible, but they're not always like an 8 to 5, if you will. So she'll be home a lot of the time. Yeah. And so,
yeah. We'll see. I'm excited for you. I am excited for you. Regardless, I'm excited for you. But it is a different animal. Well, I guess it's not a different animal.
It's still a
dogs, dog. but it's different. Yeah, I am. I have been very busy with school. I'm in my internship now. I have lots of clients, and it's been great in a lot of ways, but a little more tiring than I thought. And in my effort to get more clients, because I have requirements in regards to my hours, it's funny because I also ended up now I'm at a point where I have a waiting list, so it's kind of funny. And at the same time, I'm still having clients from my job and for I have 2 other life coaching type stuff. And so that one of them is a private thing for me, and then one of them is for the other, and getting clients in there, make it just so that, it's just a very busy time. And then I have 2 full classes because the internship is actually a class, but California requires more classes. So I have to take an additional course that most of my cohort has to take. So I have been writing papers, and then I was sick for 10 days, which is why you hear me cough. Iggy's going to take all those away, though, so you're not going to actually hear it. He's just going to spend hours and hours and hours getting rid of my coughs. But anyway, it's been an interesting journey. So
I'm going to bring over Maggie on Sunday and let you babysit for a little bit.
The dog?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
Just kidding. With all your work you have to do, I'm going to bring you a puppy.
Yes. You know what? I saw her, then Maggie, right? Yeah. she'll fit perfectly in the trash can. We'll just clean it up.
Oh, that's why she want to be.
Why do you speak a different language when you talk to doggy?
I never talk baby talk to my kids, but I do to the dog. It's so funny.
What do you mean you don't talk baby talk
I
to your
have
kids?
never,
What are
ever-
your kids' names?
What do you mean?
Tell me what you always say about your grandkids.
Oh, what I say about them?
Or what you say. You say,
Oh, Cheeky Boom Boom and Cusey?
yeah, but you'll say something like,
Okay, they're my grandkids. I told you I didn't talk to my kids.
oh, so you didn't call Dustin or Kylie? You called Kylie something.
They have nicknames, but I didn't talk to them in a baby voice.
Oh. Okay, well, maybe.
Nicole was Sunshine and Chicken Noodle, and I used to go chicken noodle, chicken noodle, and then Dustin was my boy, and then Kylie was my baby girl Topity.
There, you don't think those things are baby talk?
Those are just the nicknames, and I would say that, but I never went, oh, come here, Kylie, let me change your diaper like a kiki. I didn't.
Oh, God.
I didn't do that.
We have just lost any followers
I
we
know.
actually had. Okay. So, folks, last week, the 5th guidepost that we had, which actually really resonated with me because my background, especially cultivating intuition and trust and faith, letting go of the need for certainty. And so that was the last thing, just the idea of having faith and trust and one book I'm going to recommend to you folk is Blink. I think we mentioned this last week, but this book called Blink, the idea is simply that when we study and when we know things, our first intuition, our first thought about certain things really can make an impact. So that's really guidepost number 5. So I'm going to move beyond that. But one thing that this is fascinating for me, guidepost number 6 is cultivating creativity. Now, I think this is interesting because she compares it, like she goes, cultivating creativity, letting go of comparison, which when I hear when I first saw that, I kind of thought, well, that's interesting that cultivating creativity has to do with letting go of comparison. Like, I don't understand.
I agree with you on that because I kind of was like, I don't know if she actually meant to say
yeah,
creativity.
was this an edit thing?
Yeah.
And because it just didn't make a whole, like just the title itself it didn't really make sense.
But as you read the guidepost, did it make more sense to you?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Very,
right?
very, very much.
Yeah.
So I love the idea that, I now I'm going to forget. I can't believe it. I don't remember if she said this or not, but the right and left brain, we have a right and left brain. Iggy, do you know which side of the brain is creative? Isn't it the right brain is creative?
Right.
The right brain is creative and the left brain is analytical, right? I think that's right because the left brain controls the right side, and people that are left-handed are often more creative. So that would mean they're right-brained.
Yes, that's how I remembered it because I'm left-handed.
See, there you go.
Oh.
So creative people are typically on that right-brained type stuff, and I would definitely say I was raised more. Which is interesting question for you. I was raised more left-brained. Would you say you were raised more to be creative or to be more logical?
Raised as in how our parents raised us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like was raised more logical.
Yeah. A part of that could be because you were first born too.
Yeah.
So you were like...
well, and you know what's funny is reading in the guidepost, she says something like, I'm not creative. Like, I don't have a creative bone in my body. I've said that to myself several times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
The only time I thought I was creative is when I would make my recipes to post on Kogo's Paleo Kitchen. But even then I was just like, well, that's just food. That's cooking. Like, I never thought that was creative.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But...
Well, then I love the idea that I don't remember exactly where it says it. I'm sorry, I didn't write it down. But I love the fact that she talks about the fact that for us to live a wholehearted life, for us to experience this, we have to use that other part of the brain. If you're not using the creative side of your brain, it doesn't matter how successful you want to be from for a lack of a better word, logical standpoint. If you're not using that part of your brain, it actually is going to affect that other part of your brain,
Exactly.
the left side of your brain.
Right.
It's going to affect it. You're going to be in trouble if you're not activating the right side of the brain.
You need to tap into it for sure.
Yeah. And then I love what you said about being creative, because she doesn't just stick to, it's not, when I read that, if I hadn't already known about Brené Brown, let me backtrack. If I read that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, golly, years go by really, really fast. Okay, so if I read that 10 or 15 years ago, somebody says, "Are you creative?" My first thought would have been no, because I can't draw.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That's
I don't know how to do art.
Yeah, exactly. It's
yeah.
like I can't draw. I've never tried
Yeah.
to what's that called?
Clay.
Or whatever,
Yeah.
I've never tried to do any of that kind of stuff. So I would think, no, I'm not creative. But she opens the door to all kinds of creative things that you can do. I'm just like, she said this. No, I'm not a creative type. As a matter of fact, it says it right here. Let me sum up what I'm learning creativity. It says, I'm not very creative. Doesn't work. There's no such thing as a creative person and non-creative person. There are only people who use their creativity and people who don't. I really, really love that. And then she says, unused creativity does not disappear. It lives within us until it is expressed, neglected to death, or suffocated by resentment and fear. So I just thought that is fascinating to me, because even I play the guitar, and but what's fascinating, and even to this day, when people find out I play the guitar, I always go, I'm not a musician.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I play the guitar.
Right.
You know,
I told you about, I've said this on the podcast a couple times, like when people go, oh, she's a runner. I go, I'm not a runner. I run.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, it is a creative thing, because I do find myself, it's really interesting, because I don't play well. I play the same songs. I play, the same chords. I play the same thing over and over again. But there are times when I'm just like in my head, and I'm looking at or I'm either watching a show I've been reading for a long time, or I'm writing a paper, or whatever it is. And all of a sudden I just get this urge to go play the guitar. Now, part of it is escapism, because I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But the other thing is there's something freeing about it.
Yeah.
There's something that happens that makes me go, oh, this feels good.
Yeah.
This is like just a really cool thing.
Right. And that's what I like about this whole guidepost, which again, it's a short one. I think it's like 4 pages, but she says that to find it, like she asks us to explore different things. Creative, like you said, isn't just art. I think about Nicole. I think about my oldest daughter, when she was in high school, and even before that, my gosh, when she would write an essay, it was like, did you copy this? Like, because she honestly is so good with her words. It's amazing. And then, so I would just go, oh my God, you're such a good writer. People have their things. Like my son was better with math, because there was a black and white answer. But if you asked him to write an essay, you had a very hard time, because he's not expression, or didn't have a lot of expression, if you will. Where Nicole was opposite. She was just like, well, if I can figure out how to do the math by just like one, you know what I mean? Like she was so anyway, all that to say, as she's grown and as she's done other things, and I've watched her, I'm like, you are honestly one of the most creative persons. She taps into that very well. Like she has so much expression, and it amazes me, because I don't know how to write like that.
But what's weird for me is when I hear you say that you're not creative, is I think of your Instagram posts. You post every day. That isn't easy. Now, granted, you might be just talking or whatever, and then you of course, I don't understand Instagram still. So, but you post stuff, you put stuff inside there. You're constantly doing different things, and whether you like it or not, that's
okay. And I appreciate
creativity.
you saying that, because I don't look at it like that, but I so appreciate that. But what I'm going to say to you ties into exactly what's written in this guidepost. Comparison is all about conformity and competition. Now, here you go with what you just said. When I do my Instagram and I see, maybe I'll put the text in there, maybe I'll add a picture. I don't even know. Whatever it is, I just think, oh, this is not as curated as what so-and-so does, or how hers looks. Her aesthetic is so much better. And so it's just funny, because it is so true that you can say that somebody else's looks better, but then I'm robbing myself of just showing how whatever it is that I can be creative with. It's just my creativity, and I shouldn't compare.
Which is me and the guitar, because you're right, because me and the guitar is the fact that I am not, I don't even know, I'm not Van Halen. I'm not,
oh my God, you're not?
I'm thinking of the most contemporary people.
Van Halen?
Eric
That's your
Okay, let me get more. Let me get more. Eric Clapton.
Oh, there you
So
Elvis.
yeah, Elvis. I'm not these guys.
Okay.
So I'm not these people. But what's funny is that when I tell people I play the guitar, they're like, "Oh, I so wish I could do that," and I'm like, "Oh, I guess I can at least play." And the truth is, it's not about how good you play. Here's the reason why I say I'm not a musician, and I'm not trying to justify my position. Yes, I am. But what I'm going to say is that people who are musicians, they just bring their guitars and they just jam. Seriously, if I did that, they'd be like, "Dude, do you know more than 3 strings?"
Yeah.
Because seriously, I mean, I would not be able to jam because I literally know how to do a few things and that's it. But it doesn't matter. It is still a creative expression for me, and it actually, what's also interesting is it draws an emotion for me. It makes me because I am a very expressive person. So everybody jokes because when we're watching a TV show and there's that moment where everybody knows that people are going to cry, they all know I'm crying.
Yeah.
I'm the first one gone.
Yeah,
You know, but Trinity will always say
look
to me,
over at you.
she's always like, "You crying yet?"
Yeah.
She's literally like that. And even though she says it, because that should kill the moment, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I still cry.
Yeah.
I'm still like lost.
I know.
And I do it at commercials.
Yeah.
I mean, I can
I'm the
cry
same way,
at anything. And so what's interesting is, as cheesy as I might play, it is a way for me to get out of my head, that because sometimes I just get really locked in a certain way of thinking and just playing the guitar. She mentioned this and I kind of forgot about doing this in my life. But I really like photography. Again, I'm not a photographer. I did buy an SLR, a single lens reflective camera, one of those, big cameras and stuff. And I really enjoyed I'm really into pictures of people, not really things. So I like seeing people in different settings and more natural, not like, what's that called?
Candid. Yeah.
And catching them doing something, laughing,
Gosh,
crying, whatever.
My niece Courtney, she has to take our next family picture together because she is exactly what you're saying. Like, she does the best candid. Like, every time she just got into photography and she did our family picture. But anyway, I'm bringing it up because talk about a creative energy. Like, some people can take pictures and some people capture the moment. Excuse me. And she does that. And it's just, but that's awesome if you want to like act on that and continue with that, because I think it is a good release too.
Well, the other thing that's interesting, Trinity is, she's definitely a, what do we decide? Right brain person. She's very artsy. She lives in the artsy land. And I think, her case is how do I activate my left side? How do I stay on track with whatever it is? Because she's constantly in art land. And but what's fascinating to me is she said, "Oh, do you think I can take some pictures one time?" And I let her use the camera. This was years ago in Ecuador, and so she was probably, I don't know, 10, 11, something like that. How old are you in like 7th grade, 8th grade?
Well, she's probably a little bit older.
So maybe older,
Maybe,
13, 14.
12.
13. Yeah.
12.
This is
whatever.
very important.
Anyway,
Let's
I
really
was
get this
like...
So anyway, she, regardless, she was in that age range, and I let her use a camera, and she knew nothing. Nothing. And all she did was just take pictures. She took a picture of a Coke can. And I was like, this is a great picture.
Right.
I never would have thought to take this picture. I wouldn't have done that. I mean, it's like, so it's interesting. I don't want to compare myself, but I would say there are certain people, because that's part of the issue here, is we don't want to compare ourselves.
Right.
But what's fascinating is how some people can really think. And here's the thing, because she is so creative, she keeps acting on that creativity, and then it just keeps drawing more out. And
I think that we all have our own. Yeah. And I think that, in talking about this guidepost about comparison, I think that we can't compare. We all have our own, what's the word? Oh my gosh.
Our own thing?
What is it? We all have our own strengths, if you will. And we're talking about people that are artsy and stuff. Kylie and Peter are very, musically inclined. They both sing very good. And the other day, Peter and I are in a car, and he always, when we listen to music, he always hears something in the back that I never hear. And he'll start tapping it or singing it or humming that back note of music,
Harmony.
you know? It's
harmony.
it's not even the words. I'm talking about the actual music.
Oh, okay.
And he hears something that I don't hear. As soon as he starts tapping it or humming it or whatever, I'm like, oh, I hear that now. I never knew that was there.
Yeah.
So the same thing the other day, Kylie and I are watching, I forgot what we were watching, and the music came on, the ending of the show came on or whatever. And she starts, like, she's looking at her phone and she's like, and she's singing what's in the back that
wait. What was she doing?
But she did it, and I looked at her and I was like, wait, do that again. And she's like, well, it's not there. And I'm like, oh, it's in the song. So we had to rewind the show, or rewind. It's like, is that even a thing anymore? Do you rewind? Yeah, you rewind, right? We go back.
Is this relevant to the story?
No. And then she's like, it's right there. Like, listen, it's right there. And I'm like, okay, how many times have I seen the show? Seen the show and listened to that song and never knew that was there. They hear things that I just don't hear. So I think, and Iggy's shaking his head. He hears it too, right, Ig?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and you're musically inclined for sure. And so I feel like we all have our strengths that we can pick up on things. And I don't mean pick up on music or pick on this, but there's certain things that we can be creative with and feel really good at. And there's some things that you don't want to necessarily compare yourself with, but you can still do that act because it makes you feel good and you can be creative within your own.
Well, and I think the other thing that Brene is kind of bringing out is that there's two things that I think are important about this that I and maybe we could leave it at that. Not that you can have the last word, but to me, the two big things that I can take from this are, first of all, it doesn't matter. You are creative, whether you know it or not. You are creative.
Yes.
So if you're listening right now, you do have creativity in you. And then the second thing that I'm going to say is, and I think this is what you're getting at, is everybody has their strengths, but I'm going to say that any muscle you work out will eventually start to produce a bigger muscle. And so the point is, if you start to risk it, because that's really what it comes down to. I think a lot of times we don't want to do something because we're afraid of what the result's going to be and what people are going to say about the result.
Right.
And then we go, well, I'm not going to do it then. And so this goes back to our very first podcast, which is, hey, go for it. Yeah. Just go for it. But the point is that the more we go for it, the more we risk it, the bigger the muscle gets and the more likely, not the more likely, but you're going to get better at it. You know, the fact of the matter is the more I play the guitar, the better I'm at the guitar. Now, does that mean that I'm going to be one day the greatest guitar player? No, but it doesn't matter. Right. What matters is that I keep just working the muscle and I keep going for it. And so I think that's the key, is that you're listening right now. You need to be creative. Yeah. We all need to use that muscle, if you will. Yeah. Yeah. Ashley, what's my daughter's name? Your girlfriend? Trinity. Trinity is, she and Iggy, they took us to an ice cream and paint.
Paint night.
Yeah. Ice cream and paint. And I always kind of wanted to do it, but honestly, fear. I didn't know about the ice cream one. You hear a lot about the wine one. Yeah. But they knew of this ice cream one, and so we did it. And what's really fun about that, which I would encourage people to do massively, is they kind of teach you how to do it. It's not like it's not like they just go, okay, draw this thing. Yeah, here's your canvas. You later. Yeah. It's like we want to see the Mona Lisa. No, it's like almost like a step-by-step thing. I did it with Nicole or Kylie actually. Yeah. Yeah, and it was so fun. We took mom with us, and we just had a really good time, and it was really fun, and I still have it in my room. And you know what's funny? Dustin and Bea went and did it, and I couldn't believe Dustin's. I mean, it actually looks super good. Not the ice cream. It probably would have as a wine one. I'm not sure. But anyway, he gave me the picture for Christmas. Did he really? Yeah, it's so cute. It's flowers. But I was like laughing inside because I'm like, I doubted that he did it. It was so good. Oh, really? It was good. Yeah. Well, do you see that image right there of the four of us? That's mine. Oh, good. What do you mean? Your picture? That you drew? Picture, I was saying I drew that. I thought you meant you, because you had photography. No. I thought you meant you took it. No, well, I'm like, well, no. Selfie, I might have taken that as a selfie. But anyway. But no, this was a good guidepost. And I agree with you that, if you don't use that side of your brain, you're not
going to use that side of your brain. And to help yourself be more logical, you need to actually be more creative, and vice versa, right? So the dig deep part, this is what she ends all of her guideposts with, is dig deep. And so get deliberate with it. If creativity is seen as a luxury or something that we do when we have spare time, it will never be cultivated. I carve out the time every week to take and process photographs, make movies, and do art projects with the kids. When I make creating a priority, everything else in my life works better. So this is Brene Brown writing this.
Yeah. And so her second one is get inspired. Nothing inspires me more than my friendship with my artist friends, writers, designers, and photographers in my life, many of whom I've met online. I think it's so important to find and be a part of a community of like-spirited people who share your belief about creativity. There's nothing like geeking out about fonts for an hour, coffee with a friend.
And I'm going to just tap on that really quick. You know, when I did Coco's Failure, even now, but most of when Coco's Failure, it was definitely so much fun to be in a community with people creating recipes and stuff like that. And you do get inspired by being in the community of what you're interested in.
For sure.
Whether you're good or bad at it, just be in that community.
No, I think it's awesome.
And so then she says, get going, take a class, risk feeling vulnerable and new and imperfect, and take a class. There are wonderful classes, or there are wonderful online classes if you need more flexibility. Try something that scares you, or even something you've dreamt about trying. You never know where you'll find your creative inspiration.
That's right. Yeah, and I would really encourage you to do one of those, like
we
wine
do that
and
with our
drawing
kids.
or
Yeah,
whatever it
I
is.
love that. But I think we do that with our kids a lot. We just don't do it with our adult selves. Like
I think we encourage our kids to do it, but we don't do it.
Right. Let's try soccer. Oh, that's not for you. Okay, let's try baseball. Oh, that's not for you. Let's try dancing. Let's try. You know, you get them in there to see what their feel is. And so we as adults don't get out there enough to try these things. Yeah.
So there you go, guys. So that is guidepost number. What number is that?
That was 6.
That was 6. So next podcast is going to be guidepost number 7, which is
cultivating play and rest, letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol of productivity and self-worth. Oh my gosh, that's an amazing one. I used to take pride in the fact I was always exhausted from doing so much.
That's right. And if you're on YouTube, you're going to see us in the same clothes because we're just hanging up, and we're going to do the second one right now. So, so anyway, we are very glad you're listening.
Maybe I'll take my shirt off.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. That was stupid.
That's a different podcast. That's a different podcast, and we'd have to put like one of those E's next to it. Okay. Anyway, we are Wholehearted Living, and I am Benny, Benny.Gonzalez at Benny.Gonzalez for Instagram. Would love to hear from you. Send us a message. That would be great.
And I am at A Daily Dose of Cocoa.
And we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
Oh,
wait, Iggy. Hello, Iggy. Thank you so much for keeping us in sound. Okay, so we're doing it right.
Iggy, say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
All right, have a good week.
All right, have a great week.
Bye.
Ciao.